So now we're gonna bust into some DC shit, people, because that's what everybody likes to hear.
Yes.
Oh, this Marvel bullshit.
Us constantly defending DC. We even have one guy on YouTube that was like, you guys don't have to keep releasing these videos.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
We will prove you wrong. Because other people release these videos, and now we're going to talk about someone else's video.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. They give us a reason.
It gives us material. Because when we're not going to go see Planet of the Apes, how can we make up shit for an hour-long episode? We watch somebody else's video.
Yep, pretty much, and then we talk about it. So someone else's video is the YouTube account Just Right. He does. I haven't watched any of his other things, but I can kind of gather it based on his titles. And even the one video that I did watch is that he does a lot of videos on mainstream movies to show you how to become a better storyteller, how to become a better writer. And I think he does a phenomenal job. And the video that we watched was what writers should learn from Wonder Woman. And it's about little over 9 minutes long, and damn it, I wish I could. Hold on, let me look up our Twitter page because I can't remember his name.
Both Eyes Missing.
Thank you. Both Eyes Missing on Twitter was the one who direct messaged us on Twitter and said, "Hey, thought you guys would enjoy this," and boy did I! It got me all stoked, and I'm glad we're talking about this.
I've seen that video in my YouTube feed multiple times, but I just ignored it. I honestly just ignored it because I was like, all right, I thought it was actually going to be shitting on Wonder Woman, or it was going to be shitting on the DC universe and saying Wonder Woman did it right.
That's what I thought too.
And
that's exactly what I thought going into it. I was like, okay, they're going to say this is what DC should have done. Yeah. But no.
Martha should have been written like this. Arthur!
Exactly.
In reverse.
Yes, but it wasn't like that at all to our surprise. You should still go check it out, even though we're going to cover a lot of it in this episode. Still go check out the video. He does a great job kind of explaining things and honestly verbalizes why Matt and I tend to lean towards DC more than Marvel. And we're just going to elaborate on his genius. So he basically covers why humor can ruin great moments in movies. And what Wonder Woman did really well. He has some great clips from Patty Jenkins. Once he finally gets to the Wonder Woman part, because he has a little bit of backstory explaining some different things.
Basically goes through a lot of the Marvel movies, or he goes through a lot of the Marvel movies and talks about the moments where some of their tension got killed by trivial moments.
The first example that he uses is Spider-Man 2, thank you, and Doctor Strange. And he compares two scenes, the scene where Spider-Man takes his glasses off, crushes them, and then clenches his fists, and he's ready to fucking go fight. And then the other scene from Doctor Strange is where he puts his cloak over him, and then he pulls the collar up, pops the collar like a playa, and then the cloak starts getting in his face,
wiping his face.
And he's like, "Stop!
Stop it!
Like that whole thing."
And he points out some major detail that both these moments actually happened fairly at the same point in the movie. It's supposed to be this tension point was like 78 and 76% of the movie has gone by, and it's supposed to be this big moment. And now lately, Marvel goes to this point of serious to joke.
Yeah.
And he points out some of the history of the MCU and Joss Whedon being that catalyst of the system.
We're going to get into that. So in writing... and
you should have seen Shane's face. Just had the Grinch grin on his face.
Oh, man. Nice. That was good explaining for a non-video podcast. But basically in writing, that is the term bathos. And it describes moments in poems where tone suddenly switches between serious to trivial for comedic effect. What's his name? Just Right, the guy who does this video, says that the correct way to use bathos is in a parody, similar to Deadpool or to Lego Batman. And it's also done, it can be used like in Guardians of the Galaxy, because that is a comedy movie, largely, that's where it's successful. But then when you're trying to have these other deep, meaningful moments, it completely just blows it out of the water. And you're like, well, what the fuck how am I supposed to feel? Right. And I thought this video did such a great job kind of explaining. We tend to shit on Marvel a lot, and
it's not shit on. I hate that. I hate that. We're not shitting on it. It's just, there's reasons that we don't like it. Just like people may or may not have reasons why they don't like the DC movies. It's just like, it's not shitting on it. It's just this apparent thing that they've done multiple times, and it's become formulaic.
Yes.
And this is where it's like, okay, you've seen one MCU movie, and now it kind of feels like you've seen all the MCU movies.
And yeah, like you said, very formulaic. And in the Just Right video, he brings up the airport scene, which was one of my biggest pet peeves of the MCU, and why 2016, we brought this up. The 2016 was a struggle for comic book movies in general, and especially the theater releases of them. And when you're looking at the MCU movies that were put out, the airport scene everyone loved, and
the greatest action scene in movies ever.
Yeah.
What?
Even who said that?
John Campea from Collider Video.
Yes. And you're like, what how? And in this, the guy, the Just Right, I wish I knew his name, but he basically goes on to say
JW.
Yeah, JW, there we go. But he
G. Willikers.
he goes on to describe the moments that I was so flustered with in the airport scene, because there's a lot of back and forth. It's supposed to be deep, and then now all of a sudden it's going to be funny, and then it's deep, and then it's funny. And I could find the entertainment in the airport scene because of Ant-Man or because of Spider-Man, and it was all the humor. Right. But other than that, I'm like, the best action scene ever? Like, no. There's no fucking way.
It's just, it's completely fucked up.
Yeah. And one of the most cringeworthy moments for me in the airport scene was when Wanda is fighting Hawkeye, I believe. I think it was, no. I'm sorry. It wasn't Wanda. It was, Black Widow.
Hawkeye fighting Black Widow.
Yes.
And they're pulling punches.
Yes.
And then she grabs her and magically throws her, does her little magic power push.
Yeah, no, well, so what
push.
One of the parts that bothered me is where they're fighting and she's like, are we still friends? And he's like, it depends on how hard you hit me. I'm pretty sure it was those two characters. But I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So this is supposed to be a fight, and so are you trying to hurt each other? Are you trying to kill each other? Or are you just trying to detain each other? Like, what is it? I'm totally confused.
It's a bunch of kids in a sandbox.
yeah, pretty much.
And then Wanda, one of the things that always annoyed me from that movie was then Wanda comes by and just force throws fucking Black Widow into some luggage thing, and it's like, and looks at Hawkeye, you're pulling your punches. I'm like, bitch, if you can do that to people, do it to everybody. You're pulling your punches.
Right, exactly.
It drove me nuts. The way they handled Vision could have wrecked all those motherfuckers in an instant, and so it was just so held back. It was just so, I think War Machine was trying to use a taser stick like he's the fucking police. And like trying to just tase people and stuff, like, this isn't gonna kill you, it's just gonna hurt you. Really bad. Badly.
Yeah, I like it. But that's another moment in that scene right at the end where War Machine goes fucking crashing down, and it's supposed to be like, oh shit, is he dead? Is he paralyzed? What is it? Who is it that comes?
Falcon.
Falcon gets blown away. Or he gets shot by Iron Man.
Yeah,
and then people in the theater laugh. Yeah. Okay, well that was it's supposed to be a serious fucking moment. Yes. Yeah, pretty much. And now everyone's laughing. So the biggest comparison for me, and why a lot of Marvel movies have been frustrating over the years, is I'm a big wrestling fan, and wrestling on the surface is corny. And I'm sure there's a ton of people who could agree with that. That wrestling is very corny, but there are moments in wrestling that get you fucking pumped. And it's the ones that blur the lines of what's real for me, and this is my personal opinion, that blur the lines of what's real and what's story. And there's certain things, that you could kind of laugh at. Okay, that was corny, but I'll chuckle at it, but it's not super memorable. But the ones where you're like, holy shit, like how real is this? One of the biggest things that Matt and I talked about, we later found out that it was a work, because I'm sure most shit in wrestling is, but was The Undertaker. If you have to know who The Undertaker is, even if you don't watch wrestling, he goes to a UFC fight that Brock Lesnar fought at, and Brock Lesnar's leaving the octagon
after getting his ass whipped by Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, and they have like this stare down when Undertaker's being interviewed by some other guy, and okay, thank you, by some other guy, and they have like this stare down, like they're gonna fucking fight, like there was actual heat between the two of them, and it's that shit in wrestling where I'm like, wow, what is real and what isn't, and that's the stuff. And obviously, when you get into like Superman or Vision or all these people who are like super powered, or Guardians of the Galaxy, it's hard to believe that that's real. But I still feel like you can pull real emotions from that, and real emotions from the characters. And when you have the corniness and it just totally sucks out every emotion that you have, and it reminds you that, yeah, this is corny, this is cheesy, that's where I get frustrated. Because I would rather sit back and invest into something and invest in the characters and care about them than go, oh yeah, I forgot I'm watching a corny, non-realistic superhero movie. You know, and it's the same thing with comic books, or honestly with some animated movies. If you watch an animated movie, there's some really good ones out there that you're like, oh shit. You know, The Killing Joke is a good example. The Killing Joke, the movie itself, and then obviously the graphic novel. That is some deep material, and it doesn't matter that it's drawn. It's still a great movie.
Right.
And going back to the Just Right YouTube video, he spells that out so well. And I was like, holy shit, I applaud you, sir.
One of the things I wanted to point out that I was just thinking when I was watching this, when he was talking about those moments of tension that get ruined by trivial moments, by stupid comedy and humor and stuff, and how they almost become a parody of themselves at some point. And he does some great examples as well of when the Avengers have their 360 camera movement and they're landing, and it's kind of cool. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy has their moment in Volume 2 where they're all standing together and it's like this swelling of music, and then Mantis gets hit by like a meteor or something. Right. And Drax is like, Mantis, watch out. Like they're parodying the Avengers thing. But in Guardians of the Galaxy, it's got to be a comedy. It's got to be a ha-ha type humor moment. And I'm like, but there's some movies I just wanted to point out that could you imagine some of these great movies that we've had get ruined by a joke? And one of the things I wanted to point out was the end of 300.
I'm ready for battle.
That you are, one of the finest. But you have another talent unlike any other Spartan. You will deliver my final orders to the Council with force and verve. Tell them my story. Make every Greek know what happened here. You'll have a grand tale to tell. A tale of victory.
Victory. Yes, my lord. Sire, any message?
For the Queen. None that need be spoken.
Hundreds leave. A handful stay. Only one looks back.
Spartans! Ready your breakfast and eat hearty. But tonight, we dine in hell!
That thing is built up by swelling of music, by the dialogue that's going on. It's a great moment. And what, you know, you want to have someone have a stupid joke in that.
Right.
And it would ruin that whole moment. And those are great moments that people remember.
Yes.
In a movie. One of the other ones I had here is Batman vs. Superman. As much as people shit on, apparently, the fact that Superman sacrifices himself second movie in, I still think it has a great moment of tension because there's no jokes. He looks at Lois, this is my world, you are my world, and then sacrifices
great
himself.
dialogue.
People say he should have thrown the spear. Okay, well, how hard is a guy that's being affected by kryptonite going to be able to throw a fucking spear?
Right.
You know, and
you could tear apart any scene in any movie,
and he has to keep pushing anyway. He has to keep pushing the spear. So how hard?
Yeah, to get it all the way through.
Yeah, to get it all the way through him. So how effective could it have been?
He's using his momentum. He probably could have thrown it, but it would have just went pink, off of him. Or ouch, you stabbed me with a toothpick,
And then he would have had to push it in anyway. So
right? Yeah.
I think it's a great moment of tension. It's built up. He sacrifices himself. He draws the bone sword thing in more on his chest, through his chest, and to finish the job.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it wasn't ruined by some joke. And it has a little bit of a Jesus moment where he's wrapped up and rolled out and laid out and sprawled and everything. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then one of the other ones, the gold standard on comic movie marks, damn it.
Always.
Always. It will be the pinnacle. It will never be broken. It will never, ever be beaten, my friends. But Terminator 2. Could you imagine if they had a joke when the Terminator, when Arnold Schwarzenegger goes down into the, whatever, the smolt or whatever it's called. Could you imagine if they had a joke then? No, it's a hard moment. It's a fucking breathtaking moment. It's awesome.
Even just a subtle thumbs up.
Yeah.
Is so you're like, oh, fuck, no.
Arnold, you came back for 3 other movies, but whatever.
Yeah, but like Matt said, could you imagine if there was a fucking joke thrown in there? It would have just ruined it completely. And the JW says that is not a recipe for lasting storytelling. And that's where I completely agree, because for me, I still enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy. I still enjoy comedy movies, but they're not, I don't enjoy them for the story, or the emotion that you get out of it. I find no sympathy
Baywatch.
for yeah, exactly. It's just, it's hilarious. Yeah.
Dick and boob jokes. That's all it
constantly.
is.
Yeah. So, but, and like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one and the second one make me laugh, but when I have to watch them differently. I have to watch them as a comedy, not as a powerful superhero movie where I'm going to connect with, with each individual.
Right.
And so it just isn't, I hope that Marvel starts to learn a little bit from Spider-Man Homecoming and they kind of go that direction. Wonder Woman, obviously, and this is the point that the guy's making, was a great balance. One of the things that scares me, and it's why I made the Grinch smile earlier when we were talking about Joss Whedon, is in this video, he says that Joss Whedon was quoted, I don't know where he got this quote from, but, to saying that his philosophy is make it dark, make it grim, make it tough, but for God's sakes, tell a joke. And I'm like, fuck no. Like, please no. Just, you can lighten it up a little bit. I'm okay with that. Like I said, Wonder Woman was a great balance where there was still emotion in there, but there's still some jokes, still some humor there. You can point out the comedic relief in that movie, but it didn't take away from the movie and what you're supposed to feel. And I hope comic book movies continue more down that road. And I feel that then people won't have this, what do they call it?
Expectation?
The fatigue, the superhero fatigue, that if you create longer lasting movies like a Logan and honestly like a Wonder Woman, that people won't, it'll be different. It'll be different enough to where people will be like, okay, that was a solid damn movie.
Okay, Shane went brain dead, so now I'm going to come in with last couple examples. I wanted to point out even an anime can get this right. And anybody that's a Dragon Ball Z fan, one of my favorite moments from Dragon Ball Z is a moment where a character named Vegeta sacrifices himself against everything. And it's a character that's kind of an anti-hero. And he was basically a villain throughout not the whole storyline, but he basically sacrifices himself. And I'll plug it in right now.
There is one thing I'd like to know. Tell me, will I meet that clown Kakarot in the other world?
I'm not going to lie to you, Vegeta, although the answer may be difficult for you to hear. This is the truth. Goku devoted his life to protecting the lives of others. Because of his selflessness, when he died, he was allowed to keep his body and travel to King Kai's planet. You, on the other hand, have spent your life in pursuit of your own selfish desires. You've caused too much pain. When you die, you will not receive the same reward.
Oh well, so be it. You are a fool! I am going to crush you and throw you into the wind! Trunks, Bulma might do this for you. And yes, even for you, Kakarot.
And it's like one of the most, I actually remember as a kid, like I actually got emotional at that moment when he does that. It's a pure sacrifice, blows himself up to try to beat the villain, and it's an awesome moment. And then you look back at moments in Marvel where they actually have kind of killed a character. You look at Coulson, when Coulson gets stabbed by Loki in the first Avengers, and he blows, he's dying, and he blows Loki away with the gun. He's like, oh, that's what it does. Still giving off the joke.
Right.
And I know he has like a little bit more of a last talk with Nick Fury with Samuel Jackson's character, but then dies. Right. I know he comes back in Agents of the Shield, but I'm talking about the Marvel movie universe. Even Quicksilver, the one that they've actually killed permanently, because no one gives a shit. Even then, he runs, and this is a guy that was showing how fast he was before, runs in front of some bullets, becomes a human shield for Hawkeye and I think a little girl. I think either a little girl or a little boy.
I don't even remember.
It was a child, a little child. And then even after he's riddled with bullets, turns around and says, you didn't see that coming, and then falls down.
Right.
You didn't see that coming.
Still throws it in a joke. I'm like, you just killing your guys. You're just killing.
Yeah. You're
literally and figuratively.
Yeah. In any sort of emotion. And one of the things that Patty Jenkins was talked about in the JW talks about it in his movie is she said that cheesy is banned from her world. She's quoted in it to saying, "I'm tired of sincerity being something we have to be afraid of doing." And in the JW video, he has a little bit of a longer quote, but she basically goes on to say that she's tired of these type of movies and being afraid of that type of movies, meaning like cheesy, and being afraid like to, okay, well, we have to work in this realm, and we have to recognize that we are a cheesy movie, so let's just be cheesy. And it goes back to the wrestling reference that I had. Just because it is cheesy doesn't mean that that's what you have to have. And in the JW video, he even says one of the cheesiest moments is fucking E.T., you know, but it's still such an emotional moment, you know, that he's leaving, gets on a spaceship, goes, and it has like this rainbow across it and everything.
And Skittles fall.
Yeah, exactly.
What was he eating in that movie? Is it Skittles? Does he trap him? Does he give him Skittles, or are they M&Ms?
Oh, I don't remember, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The rainbow,
right? Yeah. Now get it. That's probably where I got that from. Yeah, but it's a cheesy moment, but it's still, it's not ruined with a joke or anything, and it still allows you to.
I just ruined it with a joke.
That. Yes, we've done that a couple times.
It's Skittles.